So in 2023, a California Superior Court judge, a guy making $250,000 a year, fatally shot his wife.
Yeah, and the prosecution just kind of chalked it up to a drunken argument over money.
Right. But we have this sprawling investigative report sitting right here in front of us, and it suggests the real motive might actually be buried inside a $127 million criminal justice grant program.
It is wild.
It really is.
Yeah.
So welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to unpack the staggering claims in these investigative notes, which detail alleged systemic fraud in Orange County's legal system that, well, ended in a tragic homicide.
Yeah, it's a heavy one.
Definitely. Now, before we get into it, I need to give a really firm disclaimer for you listening.
Yeah.
This source material centers on California's Proposition 47.
Which is, a highly politically charged criminal justice reform law.
Exactly. So to be absolutely clear, we are not taking a political side today, and we are not endorsing any viewpoints on the law itself. We are strictly impartially reporting the factual claims presented in this investigation. Yeah, let's unpack this.
Well, we really have to start with the mechanics of the money. So, Prop 47 reclassified certain nonviolent felonies down to misdemeanors, specifically to reduce the prison population.
Right. Less people in jail means less cost.
Exactly. The state then took those massive savings from having fewer prisoners and poured it into a competitive grant pool for diversion programs, a pool that eventually swelled to $127 million.
Wow. That is a massive amount of cash.
It is. And what's fascinating here is how that massive pile of cash accidentally created a frantic administrative panic. To win those grants, public agencies suddenly had to prove they had a huge, highly complex workload to justify needing the money.
Wait, so it's like a corporate department that suddenly invents a bunch of daily busy work just to avoid having their budget slashed?
That's a perfect analogy. Exactly like that. But, doing that in a courthouse is tricky. You can't just arrest people for no reason to boost your numbers.
Obviously not. So how do they do it?
Well, according to the report, they found a paperwork loophole.
But I have a hard time believing nobody noticed this. I mean, a judge is literally telling his staff to invent courtroom drama, and nobody flagged it. The report even points out that former Judge Jeffrey Ferguson was publicly recorded saying they had to, quote, create an adversarial proceeding for the
petitions had to be filed. And do you know who filed most of those petitions? Public defenders and alternate defenders, government lawyers. They were tasked with that job. Well, they're getting paid for that. They weren't doing that for free. That's the first thing. The second thing is every one of those petitions had to be reviewed by district attorneys and a judge in what was essentially an adversary proceeding where they'd petition it, they'd file the paperwork, which had to be created. So a lot of clerks and staff and other people had to create the forms that were going to be used. Now, the reason I'm going into this detail is just to share with you, when you hear that 60,000 people filed petitions, you don't really get the true sense of how much it cost and how many resources from the top on down that had to consume, not only in the court system, but in a lot of peripheral areas in the criminal justice system. For the entire
these Prop 47 petitions.
Right, because if you just rubber stamp a paperwork reduction, it costs the court nothing. You can't ask the state for millions of dollars to process a single form.
Oh, I see.
But if you mandate full courtroom hearings with multiple lawyers, judges, bailiffs, and clerks for every single petition,
then suddenly you have manufactured an expensive, time-consuming workload out of thin air. You've built the paper trail to grab those grant dollars.
You've got it. But the scheme allegedly didn't stop at making up busy work. To keep the grant money flowing year after year, you have to prove your programs are actually stopping crime. You have to show you're reducing recidivism.
Okay, so they proved they were busy. But the grants weren't just for being busy, they were for actually stopping crime. How do you fake that?
By weaponizing the Conviction Integrity Unit, or CIU.
Wait, normally a CIU is a noble thing, right? Like a unit designed to review old cases and exonerate innocent people.
Yes, exactly. But the investigation alleges this specific CIU was used to retroactively cleanse criminal records for a completely different reason. By actively altering and expunging these records, they could artificially lower the recidivism rates on paper.
Wow. So they just cooked the books so the auditors would keep sending checks.
Pretty much.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This wasn't just some courtroom scheme. It allegedly became a household operation.
Yeah, this part is crazy.
Right. Judge Ferguson's wife, Cheryl, had a deep background in probation data and spent nearly 20 years in high-level finance and compliance at American funds.
The synergy between the two of them is chilling. I mean, Jeffrey is on the bench. He knows the judicial policy and how to mandate those fake adversarial hearings. Cheryl knows the financial compliance side.
Like, she knows how to handle the auditors.
Exactly. She understands the specific data formats, the metrics, and the dollars required to pass a massive financial audit. It suggests they perfectly bridge the gap between creating the fake work and formatting the fake results.
But, this high-stakes pressure cooker couldn't last forever. In 2023, it violently exploded when Jeffrey fatally shot Cheryl. He literally texted his bailiff right after, saying, "I just lost it. I just shot my wife. I will be in custody."
This raises an important question. Why is a judge with a massive salary panicking so hard over money that it ends in murder?
The report theorizes they were buckling under hidden liabilities, right?
Yeah, and the agonizing stress of an impending federal audit into this entire grant machine. If that audit cracked the system open, it threatened to expose both of their professional vulnerabilities.
The notes even point out Ferguson was a functioning alcoholic who drank daily on the bench. It paints this horrifying picture of institutional protectionism. Like, staff allegedly just ignored his blatant misconduct because they had to keep the grant machine running smoothly.
It's a dark reality.
It really is. So what does this all mean? Why should you care about a localized courthouse scandal? Because this report exposes how your public tax dollars and the core integrity of the justice system itself can be entirely compromised by the very metrics designed to measure their success.
Absolutely. And I'll leave you with this final thought to mull over. If a government agency's funding relies completely on processing a high volume of criminal cases, do they secretly have a financial incentive to ensure the crime rate never actually drops to zero?